Hello, my yarny friends. I'm Sara Sach, and welcome back to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the Snowball Cowl. It's great for guys, it's great for girls, it's great for the kids. It measures about 10 inches tall, and it's about 24 inches around. Now, you can make it longer, and you can make it wider if you want to. And I'll explain that further on in the video. It's a super easy pattern, and it has these super fun little snowballs that just hang off there for decoration. And of course, these are optional if you don't want to put those on there. But anyway, it stitches up super fast. It's a great last minute gift idea. You learn at the last minute, you've got some friends coming over, maybe have some kids, then you can make them up each a cowl in different colors. You don't have to use white and blue. You could make it in different colors and call it a polka dot cowl. They're just super fun to make, and again, a great stash buster. Now you can find the complete pattern with pictures on my blog, and as always, I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. To make the Snowball Cowl, you're going to need some medium weight number 4 yarns. I'm using this blue for the background, and it is called Anti-Pilling Everyday Worsted from Premier, and the color of this is called Spa. There are, I think, 16 different colors of the worsted weight everyday peeling. I love this yarn. What that means is you're not going to get all those little balls that happen when you wash it or when you wear it. Sometimes yarn has those little balls. This doesn't do that. That's what those little peels are called. So it's anti-peeling. Now the yarn that I used for the snowballs and the trim is this white, and this white is called Baby Bee Sweet Delight Twist, and it has sort of a twisted satin thread that goes around it. It's very pretty, and I thought it made a really nice combination. They're both 100% acrylic yarns and both medium weight number 4 yarns. You're going to need about 1.5 ounces of the white and about 3 ounces of the blue, and that's estimating a little bit high. One really neat thing about this pattern is if you want to make it longer, you can. And if you want to make it deeper, you can. Super easy, and I'll explain that to you when we get started with the video or with the pattern. All right, now this is the hook we're going to use, 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. You need a needle for weaving in your ends and your scissors. If you're going to add the pom-poms, and I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of the video, we just make little small pom-poms. It's a good idea to have a good pair of scissors so you can trim those. But the pom-poms are optional. You don't have to add those. I just think they make it a little bit fun for this because we make them small like little snowballs to go with our little stitches here that look like snowballs. We're going to be starting with color 1, which is our white, that is our trim, our snowballs, and the snowballs on the cowl. All right, so I've got my white here. We're going to begin with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 4 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, go in that 4th chain, and pull up a loop. Yarn over and only go through that first loop. Now we're going to yarn over, go through the next 2, yarn over, and go through the next 2. So what we're doing is we're going to stitch 72 foundation double crochets. Okay, so yarn over, go in that stitch that we made. That's our chain. Then we make our chain again. Now we'll just finish our double crochet. Now, when you're counting your stitches, make sure you count this chain 3 as your first foundation double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we need a total of 72 foundation double crochets. If you have trouble counting them, you can grab your stitch markers and mark them like every 10 stitches, and that will help you keep track. I think it's easier to count the stitches when we do a foundation row rather than just a regular chain row. And you can do a row of chains and then make sure you have 72 double crochets if you want to, but we're making a cowl, so we want the edge to be nice and stretchy. If we make a chain and then double crochet in that chain, it's not going to be nice and stretchy. All right, so I really recommend that you start with the foundation double crochet. I have stitched my 72 foundation double crochets. I've got 20, 40, 60, and then 12, which is 72. Now, this is going to get you a cowl that's approximately 24 inches around. If you want this cowl to be wider around, you can add foundation double crochet stitches in multiples of 6 to make it larger. All right? And that's the round part of it, not the depth of it. And we'll talk more about the depth later. All right, so once you've made the amount that you need, we have 72 for the pattern, and if you added more, that's fine. All right, and so we'll join to that chain 3 at the beginning there with a slip stitch, and then we'll chain 3. Now, when you do a row of foundation double crochets like this and join, you always end up with a little bit of a gap here. So what you're going to need to do is grab your needle, use your tail of yarn that you began with, and we're just going to close that gap up. So we'll come over here to the bottom of that last stitch and just close up that gap. And we can go ahead and weave this in and we won't have to worry about it later. Do remember, I'm going to go ahead and clip that quick. Do remember that when you join, it needs to be flat with no crisscrosses or twists in it, okay? I'm going to take out my stitch markers. All right, and this is how row 1 should finish up. 72 foundation double crochets, we joined, we close our gap, and we chained 3. So now for row 2, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those foundation double crochets around. And we're staying with the white for row 2. We'll bring in our blue on row 3. All right, so 1 double crochet in each of the stitches, working all the way around our cowl. Then we'll join back to our chain 3. I have completed row 2. I have 72 double crochets. We're going to join to our chain 3, but we're not going to chain 3. We're going to drop our white and we're going to bring in our color 2 and then do our chain 3. Because our chain 3 counts as our first stitch, we don't want that first stitch to be white. We want it to be blue. So we're going to drop those out of the way and we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around with our blue color. So I'm just stitching 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around with our color 2. I have completed that 3rd row, just 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. I joined to my chain 3 and I only chained 1. This is the row we're going to make our snowballs on. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to single crochet in the first 5 single crochets, and we're going to stitch over our white yarn. So we're going to bring it back up. We'll go in the first stitch. We'll make sure we go around that white yarn and stitch our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're going to start our first single crochet, but we're going to finish it with our white yarn. Now we stitched 1 in the first 5 in the blue. Now we're going to work a stitch in the white, and it's going to be 2 triples together. All right, so we're going to put 2 wraps on our hook. We're going to go in that next stitch, still stitching over the blue yarn this time. Pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Leave those 2 loops on your hook. Now we'll do 2 wraps, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. You'll have 3 loops, and we'll have 2 unfinished triples. At this point, we're going to grab our blue and pull through all 3 of those loops. And now we're going to stitch 1 single in the next 5. Now, your snowball will tend to want to push to the back, so just take your finger and push it forward. There's your snowball. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my 5th one. I'm going to finish with the white. I'm going to do my 2 triples together. Finish with my blue. Push my snowball to the front and stitch 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches. Now you might get a little twisty there like I do, and I just kind of pick them up and untwist them after every snowball stitch. And when I get to my 4th one on here, I usually give this just a little bit of a tug to make sure it's not sticking out. We don't want any droopiness. And see how that works? We do 5 single crochets, finish with our white. We do our 2 triples together, finishing with our blue, and repeat. And this is where it comes up with the multiples of 6, because we're doing 5 singles and then our 2 triples together, and that makes 6 stitches. All right, see if I can get this untangled. We'll do another one to show you. So we finished with our white. I'm going to stitch that triple. My table thing there's coming off. Let's get it back up there. All righty, so whoops. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll do our 5th and finish with the white. And again, just push your snowballs out if they want to go to the back of your work. And we'll repeat this all the way around and join back to that first single crochet. So just to repeat, 5 single crochets stitching over the white yarn. We finish with our white, 2 triples together, finish with our blue, and repeat all the way around. So I have repeated this all the way around. You're going to stitch your 2 triples together in your last stitch. You want to go ahead and finish with the blue as we've been doing, and we're going to just drop the white one behind. We're not going to stitch over it anymore. We're going to join to this first single crochet with a slip stitch, and then we're going to chain 3. All right. And I want you to see how that looks. If you look at it and maybe your snowball's not poking out enough, go ahead and just push it with your finger so it pushes out. Sometimes they have a tendency to want to go to the back. And that's the way that it should look. So you're going to have 12 of your snowball stitches or 2 triples together, and then you're going to have a total of 60 of your single crochets. All right, so we joined to that first single crochet and we chained 3. We're not going to stitch over our white yarn on this next 2 rows because we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the stitches around. All right, so 1 double crochet in the first 5 singles. Okay, and then if you look on your triple stitch, you'll see 1 set of loops there, and you'll stitch 1 double crochet in that stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 5 single crochets. So we're just stitching a row of double crochets all the way around. Isn't that pretty how that, I want to say popcorn ball. It looks like popcorn. It's actually a snowball, sticks out. I really love it. I think it's super pretty and it's a really great pattern and it's super easy. Couple of changing color techniques that you learn, but the rest is just super easy. All right, so I'm just going to go all the way around, stitching 1 double crochet in each of the stitches around using our color tube. I completed row 5, which was just 1 double crochet in each stitch around. Now, when you do this row, you need to make sure that you still have 72 stitches, because if you add or subtract 1 by accident, it'll mess up where your snowballs are laid out when we get to that next row. Now on this row, we're going to join to our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3, and we're just again going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of those stitches around. So in between each snowball row, there are 2 rows of double crochet, and on these 2 rows we do not carry or stitch over our white yarn. We just let it drop. And then when we do the next row after this one, it'll be a repeat of this row and we'll bring up our white yarn. Okay? So for row 6, we're just stitching 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, working all the way around, and then we'll join back to that chain 3 with a slip stitch. I completed row 6, which is again 72 double crochets, just 1 double crochet in each stitch around. And so what you're going to do is you're going to continue to repeat row 4, which is our snowball row, and 5 and 6, these 3 rows, you're going to repeat that 3 more times. Now that's going to get you, once we get the 2 rows of trim on the other end, about a 10-inch cowl. Let me look at my notes. Yes, about a 10-inch tall cowl. If you want it to be deeper, say you made it longer, you want it deeper, you can do more repeats. Or maybe you don't want it quite that deep, you can do 1 or 2 less. It's up to you. But for the pattern, you're going to need to repeat row 4, row 5, and row 6 3 more times. I repeated rows 4, 5, and 6 for 3 more sets, and we end with 2 rows of our blue double crochet. I want to show you what it looks like on the inside, because we carried our white across between our snowflakes. It's nice and neat. And then we dropped our white on the rows where we just did 2 rows of double crochet. So it's actually nice and neat on the inside as well as the outside. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to cut off our blue because we're done with our color 2. We're going to bring in our white. There we go. And we're going to chain 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 rows of double crochet because we want the top to have the same 2 rows as the bottom does. All right, and so now what we're going to do is we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. Then we'll join to our beginning chain 3 and stitch a second row of double crochet in each stitch around and join back to our chain 3. So we're just going to stitch 2 rows of double crochet in our white yarn. That way the top of our cowl resembles the bottom of our cowl. I stitched those last 2 rows, 1 double crochet in each for 2 rows, so it looks the same down here as it does up here. Nice trim. All right, so I joined to my chain 3. Gonna cut my yarn. And we'll tie that off to the back. And now, because we carried our yarn and didn't cut it, all I have to do is weave in these 2 ends. You will have one spot here where we carried this in to come back in. And what I do right there, just so it isn't loose and might get caught in a hair barrette or something that you have on your hair, or maybe an earring, we'll take this tail of yarn where we're going to weave in and weave in over that. Like this. We'll just go over it. We're weaving in our blue at the same time. We're just stitching that down so it doesn't become a place for something to get caught, a button or an earring or something. Just like that. Be careful not to go through. And now it's nice and weaved in, and we'll just go back up. There we go. And tie that one off. And so we covered up where we carried that yarn and weaved in our blue at the same time, and now I just need to weave in this white one, and then I'm going to show you how to make those little pom-poms and attach them to the cowl. I think they just add a fun little touch to the cowl, but of course they're optional. The first thing we're going to do to make the little pom-poms is we're going to start with a chain so that we have something to attach them to. So we're going to do our slip knot, and we're going to chain 25 chains. I've chained 25 chains. I'm going to cut my yarn, and I've got my big Fiskars out now because we're going to need that to cut the pom-poms or trim the pom-poms. All right, so I'm going to put a knot at the end of each of my chain. All righty. And then we're going to take this and we're going to grab wherever we want to put the pom-pom. And we're going to go around these these rows here, just like this. Pull this loop through, just like you're putting on a piece of fringe. All right, we'll just snug that down, and this is where we're going to attach those pom-poms. So I've already attached one pom-pom on. I'm going to show you how to make it and how to attach it. So take your yarn, cut a piece about 12 to 14 inches. We're going to use that to tie the pom-pom together. And now we're going to take the yarn and we're going to wrap it around our 4 fingers about 25 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wrap it more times if you want a thicker, bigger pom-pom, or less times if you want a more floofy one. I like about 25 to 30 wraps. All right, so now we're going to put it across that piece of yarn and we're going to tie it securely. Make sure it's centered as best you can. Nice and tight. And one more knot just for good measure. All right, now we're going to hold those 2 strands so we don't cut them. I'm going to grab this little container I like to use. And first we're just going to clip those loops. And that's why I like the big scissors for this, because I can cut more. Then I kind of shake it out. A couple of loops I see I missed there. But that's okay, because we're going to push it down. And I hold it in my hand like that, and I cut all those ends off. All right. Then I give it a good shake, and I give it a good look at. I move these strings out of the way because I don't want to accidentally cut them. And I can see I even missed some loops there. And so we just give it a quick trim. I'm not looking for perfection because I don't want this to be like a big round tight pom-pom. I just want it to be a little bit floofy and fun. Because remember, just like snowflakes, snowballs are all different. All right, there's my snowball. We'll grab this, and all we're going to do, I'm going to push that forward. I'm going to take the end of this one, and we're going to tie them together. We want that to be right up close on the pom-pom and the end of the chain. There we go. And we'll give it a couple of good knots for good measure, as we do not want our pom-pom coming off our cowl. There we go. And then I'll just take these strands and cut them about the same length of the other one. And then I'll check to see there we go. And so now my snowball cowl has two floofy snowballs. Isn't that cute? I just love pom-poms. And so that is how you make our snowball cowl. It's perfect for the girls, the guys, and the kiddos.